Hello dear student, myself Rishikesh Shivaji Labde. I am working as a assistant professor at Srimati Vimlaben Khimji Tejokia, SVKT College, Devrali Camp, Nasik. I welcome you all to this online LMS lecture. Today we are going to learn about chemistry of carbohydrate, basically its introduction. This syllabus includes in Savitribai Phule Pune University's third year BSc semester lecture. Session agenda. In today's lecture, we are going to learn about introduction of carbohydrates, its classification, structure of carbohydrates, along with some properties such as epimers, anomers, inversion, reducing and non-reducing sugar, and the concept of mutarotation. The concept of mutarotation is very important from the point of competitive examination such as NET, SET, GATE. At last, we will end our session with a glycosidic bond in carbohydrates. In today's lecture, student will learn about type of carbohydrates, their different ways of classification, structure of carbohydrates, the properties like epimers, anomers, mutarotation. We will also see the difference between reducing and non-reducing sugar, and we'll see the mechanism behind it. So let's get started. Introduction of carbohydrates. The carbohydrates are most abundant biomolecules in nature among with lipids, fats, nucleic acid, etc. The word carbohydrates is derived from hydrates of carbons. There are many definitions for carbohydrates, but the most precise and accurate one is the carbohydrates are polyhydroxyaldehyde or polyhydroxyketone or the compound which yields them on hydrolysis. Polyhydroxyaldehyde. As the name suggests, poly means many, hydroxy means alcohol. Polyhydroxyaldehyde means many alcohol with aldehyde group. Polyhydroxyketone is many alcohol with a ketone group. The most abundant carbohydrates are polysaccharide. There are 5 primary functions of carbohydrates in a human body. The first is energy production. The carbohydrates provides energy to our body for our day-to-day life. Another one is storage of energy in the fat. And third is building macromolecules such as nucleic acid, RNA, DNA. Other primary functions are sparing proteins and assisting in lipid metabolism. We will see the biological functions of carbohydrates in our body at the last of our session. Classification of carbohydrates. There are different ways of classification of carbohydrates. One of them is a number of product carbohydrates form on hydrolysis. The second one is the type of monosaccharide, are the same or different present in carbohydrates. The third is nature of carbohydrates, that is if they are complex carbohydrates or simple carbohydrates, or are they sugar or non-sugar. The last way of classification of carbohydrates is the functional group present in them, that is whether the aldehyde group is present or the ketone group is present. So let's start with the first one. Based upon whether or not the carbohydrate undergo hydrolysis, and if they do go undergo hydrolysis, how many number of products are formed by them. The first in this category are monosaccharide. On hydrolysis, monosaccharide yield no lower sugar. The general formula of monosaccharide is CnH2nOn. The monosaccharide can be subdivided on the basis of number of carbon atom present in them. If the number of carbon atom present in them are 3, then it is known as triose, 4, then it is known as tetrose, 5, then it is known as pentose, and so on. The example of monosaccharide are glucose, fructose, galactose. The structure are shown in the figure below. The next is oligosaccharide. Oligosaccharide on hydrolysis give 2 to 10 moles of monosaccharide. The general formula for the oligosaccharides are CnH2O N-1. Oligosaccharide can be subclassified on the number of monosaccharide unit formed. For example, if on hydrolysis disaccharide gives 2 moles of monosaccharide, maybe they can be same or different, then they are known as disaccharide. The example in this category is maltose and sucrose. We can see that maltose on hydrolysis give 2 moles of glucose. On the other hand, sucrose on hydrolysis give 1 mole of glucose and 1 mole of fructose respectively. We can see the reaction in the image given below. The next is trisaccharide. As the name suggests, it yields 3 moles of monosaccharide. The example of trisaccharide is raffinose. Raffinose on hydrolysis gives 1 mole of galactose, glucose and fructose. The structure of raffinose is given below. Tetrasaccharide. These on hydrolysis give 4 moles of monosaccharide. The example of tetrasaccharide is staichose, having general formula C24H42O21. The third in this category is polysaccharide. Poly means many. These on hydrolysis give a large number of, means more than 10 number of monosaccharide. The general formula of polysaccharide is C6H10O5N. The example of polysaccharide are starch and cellulose, which on hydrolysis give n number of glucose molecule. The example in this category is cellulose. Cellulose is a long chain compound basically present in cotton, wood, seagrass and bamboo. We can see the structure of cellulose in the image given below. The another example of the polysaccharide is starch. Amylose and amylopectins are present in the starch. As we know, the polysaccharide can be linear or can be branched. We see the example of amylose here. Amylose is a straight chain compound, 20% present in the starch, and amylopectin, which is 80% present, which is a branched compound present in the starch. The sources of starch are potato, rice, grain, cereal and pasta. The another example of polysaccharide is chitin. The structure of chitin is given below. The sources of chitin is crabs, shrimps, insects and fungi. Another type of we can classify the carbohydrates is depend on if single type of monosaccharide present in a polysaccharide or a different type of monosaccharide present in the polysaccharide. If the single type of monosaccharide present in the sugar, then it is known as homopolysaccharide. The example in this category is starch, cellulose, insulin, pectin and chitin. If made up of different monosaccharide, the sugar is known as heteropolysaccharide. The example in this category is hyaluronic acid. Another way we can classify carbohydrates is their taste. If the sugars are crystalline, water soluble and often sweet to taste. The example in this category is glucose and fructose. Non-sugar, these are amorphous, insoluble in water and tasteless substance. The example in this category is starch and cellulose. The another way to classify carbohydrates, it's on their structure. Simple carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates are easily broken down by the body to use as energy. These are simple straight chain sugars. They are often sweet to taste. They are generally present in fruits, milk products, candy, table sugar, syrup and can fastly give us energy. On the other hand, complex carbohydrates. These are made up of a sugar molecule that are strung together in a long complex chain which can be difficult to break down by our body. The example in this category is bread, beans, whole grains, potato and vegetables. We can also classify carbohydrates on what type of functional group is present in the carbohydrates. If the aldehyde group is present in the monosaccharide, then it is known as aldose. For example, glucose. Glucose contains 6 carbon atoms and a aldehyde group. then it is called as aldohexose. On the other hand, if the keto group is present in the monosaccharide, then it is known as ketose. The example in this category is fructose. Fructose is a fruit sugar containing 6 carbon atom as well as a ketone group, and it is referred as ketohexose. We can see the examples of glucose and fructose in the image given below. Now we will go to the properties of carbohydrates. The first one is epimers. Epimers are two sugars which differ in the configuration at a single chiral center. For example, D-glucose and D-mannose. See the structure of D-glucose and D-mannose. The configuration is only differ at C2, that is carbon number 2 of the both the structure. It is shown in the red. Then hence we can call as C2 epimers. D-mannose and D-tallose are C4 epimers of each other. We can see that this configuration are differ at carbon number 4 in D-mannose and D-tallose represented in the blue. D-glucose and D-tallose are not epimers. Why? Since their configuration differ in more than 2 center. They differ in C2 and C4, hence we cannot call it as epimers. The another properties is anomers. Anomers are cyclic monosaccharide which are epimers at anomeric carbon. Means that their configuration is changed exactly at anomeric carbon. Now the question arises, what is anomeric carbon? Carbon in a cyclic sugar bearing a hemiacetal, acetal or hemiketal or ketal group is known as anomeric carbon. It is C1 in aldoses and C2 is in ketoses. The nomenclature of anomers can be given as, if alpha is an configuration used when oxygen of anomeric carbon is opposite to that of CH2OH group, and beta nomenclature is used when the oxygen of anomeric carbon and CH2OH group are at the same side. We can see the structure and nomenclature and can understand from the image given below. Mutarotation, it is one of the important concept. The phenomena of mutarotation was discovered in 1846 by Augustin Pierre Dubrunfaut. He first named it as a birotation, but later in 1899 Lowry gave it a more appropriate name, that is mutarotation. Mutarotation is a deviation from the specific rotation due to change in the equilibrium between alpha anomeric and beta anomeric form in an aqueous solution. The alpha D-glucose and beta D-glucose, the configuration is changed to 52.7 degree on mutarotational equilibrium mixture. Now we will understand the mechanism behind mutarotation. Mutarotation involves ring chain tautomerism. The two different cyclic hemiacetal forms of sugar established a state of equilibrium with a linear form. For example, when 100% of pure glucose of one form is added to water, it unmasks itself into a straight chain. But when it is a time to again reform, it have now two chances. It can go to the alpha form or beta form. After some time, an equilibrium state is achieved between both forms, and thus the specific rotation of solution eventually changes to 52.7 degree. We can see the mechanism of ring opening and reformation in the image given below. A polarimeter is used to measure the rotation of a sample. Also, we can use to calculate the ratio of two anomers present in the solution. The mixture is composed of 36 alpha D-glucose and 64% of beta D-glucose. There are many factors that influence the mutarotation. The first is temperature of the solution. The rate of mutarotation slows at lower temperature. Another factor that affects the mutarotation is wavelength of light source used in polarimeter, as well as the concentration of solution of a sample we are analyzing. Now we will see the reducing and non-reducing sugar. Reducing sugar are those sugar which gives a positive taste for Tollens reagent or Benedict solution. On reaction with the Tollens reagent, reducing sugars gives the silver PPT which will collect at inside of test tube and gives us silver mirror like finish. On other hand, the reducing sugar on reacting with Benedict solution, it will give the copper oxides red PPT which will settle down at the bottom of a test tube. We can see the test given below. On other hand, non-reducing sugar does not give a positive test with the above reagents. Now, why will the reducing sugar reacts with the both reagent? The reducing sugar are present in open chain aldehyde or alpha hydroxyketonic form and thus react with a Tollens reagent and gives us oxidation product. On other hand, the non-reducing sugar didn't exist in open chain aldehyde or alpha hydroxyketonic form and hence not oxidized by above reagent, Tollens reagent and Benedict solution. Now we're gonna see the difference between reducing and non-reducing sugars. Reducing sugars, as we say, gives a positive taste with the Tollens reagent, Fehling solution or Benedict solution. On the other hand, non-reducing sugar does not give taste with the Tollens reagent, Fehling solution and Benedict solution. Reducing sugar exists in hemiacetal and hemiketal form and non-reducing sugar exists in acetal or ketal form. Reducing sugar exhibit mutarotation. On the other hand, non-reducing sugar didn't exhibit mutarotation. Reducing sugar react with phenylhydrazine to give oxazone and reacts with hydroxylamine to give oxime. Non-reducing sugar did not form oxazone with phenylhydrazine and did not react with hydroxylamine to give oxime. The example in the category of reducing sugar is glucose, fructose, lactose and maltose. The example in non-reducing sugar is sucrose, glycogen and inulin. Now we will see the phenomena of inversion in carbohydrates. Sucrose having specific rotation of plus 66.5 degree, when treated with acid it hydrolyzed to D-glucose having rotation of 52.5 degree and D-fructose having rotation of 92 degree. Thus the final rotation is levorotatory minus 40 degree. As we can see that an optical rotation of sucrose changes from positive to negative in hydrolysis. This is termed as inversion of sucrose. The mixture of glucose and fructose is known as inverted sugar. The reaction of sucrose is given below. The inversion of sucrose can be catalyzed by enzyme known as invertase as well as H plus ions. Now we will see the what mechanism is playing behind this inversion of sucrose. Hydrolysis of sucrose yield mixture of alpha D glucopyranose and beta D fructofuranose. The latter, beta D fructofuranose, is a dextrorotatory compound and it is highly unstable. Thus it immediately changes into stable form of D minus fructopyranose, which is obviously a levorotatory having much greater rotation than D-glucopyranose. We can see the change in the image given below. Invert sugar is sweeter than sucrose and hence in industry like candy makers, ice cream makers hydrolyze sugar before use to get maximum out of it. Now we will end our session with the last concept of glycosidic bonds in carbohydrates. The OH group of anomeric carbon is most reactive in carbohydrates. When the OH group reacts with another OH group of another monosaccharide, a glycosidic bond is formed with the elimination of water molecule. This reaction is condensation reaction. A loss of water molecule takes place and a connection between the two substrate form. There are certain rules to nomenclate the glycosidic bond. In naming glycosidic bonds, it is necessary to name the configuration as well as the carbon involved in the bond formation. We will see that with a few examples. In case of maltose, maltose is present in grain. The glycosidic bond is specified as alpha 1,4. The alpha is a configuration of a glucose unit, both a glucose unit and the bond formed between carbon 1 of one glucose and carbon 4 of another glucose unit. If the OH group had been in a beta configuration when the glycosidic bond is formed, the bond would be named as beta 1,4, which is in case of lactose, which is present in milk and milk products. We can see the image below that both the D-glucose and D-galactose units are present in beta form, and the bond formation is carbon number 1 and carbon number 4 of sugars. In case of sucrose, sucrose is a table sugar. It is most abundant disaccharide found in sugarcane and sugar beets, having glycosidic bond of alpha beta 1 2. The configuration of one sugar is alpha and other sugar is beta, and the carbon involved in the bond formation is 1 and 2 of those monosaccharide. Student assignment number 1. In the first question, student should get the epimers from the following. In the second question, student should identify the anomeric pair from 4 options. In the third question, student should write the hydrolytic product of inulin, starch and milk sugar. The question number 4 and 5, they should have to give a common characteristics between D-talose and D-galactose. Are they C2 epimers, C3 epimers, C4 epimers, or they are just diastereomers? In the fifth question, they have to give a common characteristics between D-glucose and D-glucose. Others are a descriptive question. Students should write a note on the muta rotation, what is reducing sugar, and should give a 5 to 6 differentiating points between reducing and non-reducing sugar. The question 8 is a brief question. Students should write the classification of carbohydrates. There are different ways of classification and give example in each category. 9 questions, they should have to write the definition of epimers with a few examples. And in the last question, students should explain what is anomers with the example. The student should request to send the assignment to labde.rishikesh@svktmvpcollege.ac.in. Summary. As we discussed, the sugars are carbohydrates are polyhydroxyaldehyde or polyhydroxyketone, or the compound which yield them on hydrolysis. There are different ways to classify carbohydrates. They are classified mainly as monosaccharide, oligosaccharide and polysaccharide. Another way to classify is depending on the functional group, if aldehyde is present or ketone is present. Then we see the concept of muta rotation and inversion of sucrose. Optical rotation of sucrose changes positive to negative in hydrolysis. This is termed as inversion of sugar. Then we will see what is reducing sugar. The sugar which gives a positive taste with a Tollens reagent or Benedict solution is known as reducing sugar. Later we see the difference between reducing and non-reducing sugar. Then we discuss what is anomers and epimers. Anomers are cyclic monosaccharide which are epimers at anomeric carbon. Last we discussed the glycosidic bond. When the OH group reacts with another OH group of another monosaccharide, a glycosidic bond is formed. Recap. In the next lecture, we are gonna see the reaction of glucose with the acid, base, reaction of glucose with the reagent such as phenylhydrazine, its oxazone formation, mechanism behind it, At last, we will study the oxidizing agents and reducing agents action on glucose. We will end our next session with the biological significance of carbohydrates. Thank you.